so strange not to hear boisterous Americans in the summer in these cities, in Florence as well. They're really missing the American dollars, but I don't think they're missing the Americans. We've seen poll after poll here say that they would rather not have the American tourists this summer. They'd rather be able to, keep the COVID-19 away. After all the hard work and the sacrifices this country made, being the first epicenter really in Europe, the money's just not worth it, they're saying.
And as an American, how does that make you feel?
It's disturbing only in the sense that I feel like I can't go anywhere either. I can't go home to see my family. I can't go see my son who's been trapped there in university because I'm afraid they won't let me back in, even though I have residency in this country. So I feel it personally, but I don't feel that I miss those obnoxious Americans on the streets of Rome and Florence that I have so often just sort of shaken my head and thought, just be quiet, please.
Catherine Field, it may just be a one-off, right? It's once we've got a handle on this pandemic, and at some point we will, those tourists will be back. Or is this a bellwether of some greater sort of change in America's position in the world?
I think it is, that as well as people thinking, oh, it's nice to be able to go to the Louvre and not have to queue up behind 400 people just to get in and see one particular room, I think we're seeing also a sort of, what should we say, schadenfreude, because let's not forget that President Donald Trump announced back in March that Europeans weren't going to be allowed to go to the United States. On top of that, there's always been this feeling that America has in some way lorded it over the Europeans. It's been our protector throughout the Cold War. It's had military stations here. It's talked to a lot of the Eastern European countries about democracy, the rule of law. So I think there is a little bit of, the boot's on the other foot now. It's going to take a long time for the Americans to get back in the saddle when it comes to the sort of superiority, I think, that they had for so long. So, yeah, as my colleague in Rome said, the dollars are missed, but I don't think anyone who spent all that time in lockdown, that stayed away from their loved ones, that made the sacrifice, is prepared to just sort of wave through a plane load of Americans who haven't made that same sacrifice.
Yeah, the EU laying down the law, you could say, Dave Clark?
Well, they set a series of criteria for allowing people to come back here, and the United States doesn't meet those criteria. So they would argue that they're making a scientific decision based on infection rates. But it's been quite startling to see that countries like the developed countries like the United States are ended up being effectively a ban continuing on them when other countries, including the developing economies, are beginning to return. Of course, that a lot of this is contingent on whether or not there are second or ongoing first waves of this infection around the world. This could last for many years to come.